Hey, welcome to Lost in Translation. Today we're going to be talking about the first type of Bible translations. The first one, word for word, is pretty straightforward. A word for word translation takes the original language, the original Greek, the original Hebrew, and translates it straight from that original language into English. One of the fantastic benefits of a word for word translation is it's excellent for Bible study. If you want to have an in-depth Bible study with the original intention of the original languages, you can't go wrong with a word-for-word translation of the Bible. Myself, I'm going to be preaching from a word-for-word translation. I want everything that I read and everything that I say, all the conclusions that I draw from, to come from a word-for-word translation of the original language. They have tremendous benefits in terms of Bible study, going deeper into the original meaning of the text. If you can find a word-for-word translation with a study Bible format, with all the little footnotes and all the little extras added to it, that's going to be excellent for growing your understanding of the original intention for the language. Here's the drawback to a word for word. You would think that there wouldn't be a drawback to something like that, but there is. The drawback is in how it's read. If you take an original language and translate it into a different language, you're going to get some choppiness in how it's read and how it flows. So when you open up a word for word, it's not going to sound as natural as we would when we speak in English. Of course, it's going to sound normal when it's writing because it has to be translated well and so people can read it. But it's going to sound a little more choppy. It's going to sound a little bit more non-flowy in how it's presented. Okay, but you're not losing anything in the original meaning. Okay, that's the give is how it's read, how it kind of sounds when you're going through it. The uses of a word-for-word translation are, again, unbelievable in terms of preaching. If you're a Sunday school teacher, that's what I would use to prepare my lessons and even to teach from. Okay, it's a fantastic teaching Bible. Now, what you're going to see real quick is a chart come across your screen. And you're going to see a spectrum of different types of translations with the three types. When you see a word-for-word translation, you can see an interlinear Bible, which is basically a word-for-word match with the original language. It's really, really choppy to read, but you're going to get the best interpretation of the scriptures from the original language in an interlinear Bible. I wouldn't recommend this for devotional reading. It just doesn't read quite right, but an interlinear Bible is great for Bible study, to have that on your desktop as you're reading along with your other Bibles. You see the New American Standard Bible, the Amplified Bible, the ESV, the Revised Standard Version, King James Version, and the New King James Version. And you see the Holman Christian Standard kind of bridging that line between word for word and thought for thought. I'm going to be using the ESV most of the time when I'm preaching. Again, with the ESV, I think that balances good readability with extreme devotion to the original languages. It's great for a devotional Bible as well as a study Bible. If you find a version that works for you, go with it, read it. This session is not to judge any person's type of Bible translation, but the ESV is what I use for both devotional reading, preaching, teaching. It's my go-to Bible. I find it works really effectively for what I do as a pastor, for what I do devotionally, and what I do in terms of teaching. So, again, this is word for word, one of the three main types of Bible translations. Goes from the original text, works to the English, great for study, great for teaching, great for research. This has been Pastor Stephen with Lost in Translation. The next session we're going to look at is Thought for Thought, and we'll see you in the next video.